Bueller. Welcome to the fabulous Las Vegas Rotary Club. For this year, we are charged to be people of action and to be the inspiration. My name is Jim Cole, and I thank you for giving me the privilege to be the president of the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Thank you. Everybody here who has a phone and is on Facebook and follows the club, if you could take it out at this time, open up Facebook, search for Las Vegas Rotary Club, find the video, and share it. We would greatly appreciate that because we are really trying to leverage education.
Darkness, the politics, whatever, we can always come here for 2 hours and actually create some world peace for ourselves and for the rest of the world. So with that in mind, please bow our heads. In thy fullness, my Lord, for the purpose of union with thee, we accept these gifts as they have come to us, and we are ever so grateful. May seasons come in time, may crops be plentiful, and may you bless us with 24 hours of bliss and perfect health. Amen.
Thank you. Our song leader today is Jackie Thornhill. President-elect Jackie Thornhill. My apologies.
Thank you, President Jim. Well, everyone knows what my favorite song is, so let's sing our national anthem. Oh.
Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Sergeant at Arms today is Bill Starrin, and Bill's going to take the microphone around and introduce all of our guests and visitors. And as we do, please remember to hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. Mr. Werner, do we have any? No international guests. Okay. Visiting Rotarians, please raise your hand.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joyce Pepin. I'm the immediate past president of my Rotary Club and also the charter president in Ormond Beach, Florida. And it's nice to be here with all of you today.
I'm Mike Pepin from the Daytona Beach Rotary Club. We're very similar to yours. We're 97 years old. We got about the same membership, and I'm the current president there. And the reason why we're here is because of the article I read about 3 months ago in the Rotarian, and I knew I'd be here on business and just had to come to see you. So thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to both of you. Do we have other visiting Rotarians?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Jody Draves. I'm with the Sunrise Rotary in Key West, Florida, and my friend Michael Hartnett is also here with me. We came to celebrate my 60th birthday, and we did so Tuesday, and we're here till Sunday. Great to see you guys.
Hey, congratulations, happy birthday, and welcome.
Hi, my name is and if not for the fact that she teaches school, she would be here every week with us.
Welcome.
Thanks, Bill. I have three guests at the table on the far end here. First one is Sharon Harding, and she runs the Metro Volunteer Program for Metropolitan Police Department. She's wonderful. And then the other two gentlemen that are flanking her are my partners on Sunday mornings on the Strip, Gene Jacobson and Mike Marbury, and I tell my granddaughters that we're the Paw Patrol.
Welcome.
Sorry that I cannot stand up because I have such a back pain that I cannot stand up. So I have two dear guests. One is my son, who is a film director and cinematographer, and he's been here, and he's also Paul Harris member, but he hasn't joined the club yet. Now I have his girlfriend here, Maria Rodriguez, she is a lawyer and practiced with the lawyer in California and here, but right now is doing some other job like a real estate work. But she's an extremely talented lawyer that I know. But I'm a doctor. How can I judge? Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
You want to say something?
Do we have other guests?
Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce Mary Rourke. She's a branch manager from our Aliante branch, and she's here today to help with some of the Rotary banking information. Thank you.
Welcome. Do we have other guests of Rotarians today? Okay, this time then I will introduce the head table. Seated immediately to my right is my briefcase. And next to that is Bill Houghton, who is a member of our board of directors and is also the secretary of the club for this year. Bill and Jenny had a whirlwind romance, and they picked a wedding date and named their children after only 11 days of dating, and it's worked out great for him so far. He is a gold and silver miner. In his teens and 20s, he became an expert in high explosives. And at the age of 15, he was certified to teach mine safety by MSHA, so MSHA. And so I'm going to his house for 4th of July next year. And he's also honored to be chosen by the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA, as the Nevada Small Business Person of the Year, representing the great state of Nevada at the national conference. Welcome. Seated to his right is Randy Campanelli. Randy is the first person in his immediate family to graduate from Randy's involved in critical economic policies at the national level, and his priorities are family first, then community and Rotary, and he is very proud to be Rotarian. It's one of the great things that he has in his life. And seated next to Randy is our speaker, Sergeant Schrag, and Randy will give him a more formal introduction in a little bit later. So at this time, would you please a round of applause for all of our visiting Rotarians, guests. So I'd like to thank the people who helped set up today, Anna Oriana, Jamel Surratt, Jamie Goldsmith, Carrie Groh. Tickets were Deb and Gina. The invocation was Michael Williams. Song leader was Jackie Thornhill. Sergeant at Arms is Bill Steeren. And the photographer is Jim Tucker. Teardown is Michael Williams and Jamie Goldsmith. Thank you all for your help. I greatly appreciate your making my meetings run well. So, as I mentioned before at the beginning of last week, and we're also wanting to be the inspiration. So what does that mean for our club? What does it mean for this year? What is my agenda? Well, this year, it's all about me. And so I'd like to just share a story with you and some of my thoughts, and then we'll explore just a little more what our club is going to be doing. So I don't know how many of you have seen Interview with a Vampire or read the books. They're kind of interesting. I used to think vampires were fake. They're real. And I know this because I've killed several of them. So. And it's surprising because they're a lot like zombies. They all say the exact same thing just before I shot them. Every one of them looked at me and said, "Trick or treat." So, and the thing about the vampires is they're a little bit smaller than you think they'd be. So when I say it's all about me, what am I really talking about? It's not about me and my crazy vampire theories. Me means membership engagement. And so we want to know, the board and I and the past presidents really want to know what you want out of this club. And to effectuate that, we are going to put together, and we have put together, a membership survey which is going to be going out to you. And we ask that you all fill it out and let us know what do you like about the club, what do you not like about the club, what would you like to do, because we want to make this club about you and about the activities you think are important and the things we should be doing. So you will get an email soon, and we hope that you take the time to fill it out honestly. I'm not afraid of being insulted. I'm a lawyer after all, so so please fill out the membership survey when it comes. At this time, I'd like to call up President-elect Jackie, who's got some exciting announcements for us about fundraising.
Hi, everyone. This year, I am chairperson of our annual fundraising committee, and I have an awesome committee to work with this year. Those of you that are on my committee, could you just stand up since we had our first meeting the other night so we can be recognized? Thank you all very much. We had a wonderful meeting the other night. Okay, we've done a car show in the past, and we talked about that a little bit, but we're going to kick off the first fundraiser today, and this is what it is. We are going to do a raffle. When I was at district conference, I did a polling of Rotary clubs there, and one of them in particular caught my attention, and it was a raffle, and they were 35 members. So what we proposed, and it was approved by the board, and I have a letter here where it is approved by the Nevada State Gaming Control, so we are all set to go. It will be 300 tickets. The first and only prize will be $10,000. Each ticket will be $100. So do the math. We'll raise $30,000. We'll net $20,000 for the foundation. As I said, it's approved by State Gaming Control, and it cost us all of $5 for that application. So that's our expense for this raffle. We're going to hold the drawing at the meeting on September 27th. Need not be present to win. And my goal is to sell not amongst all of us here, but my goal is I'm hoping that each one of you will at least take 3 tickets and sell them to the people out there. It's time for people outside of this room to know what the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation does for our community. And here is what we do. So when you're talking to people, tell them about what we do. Santa Claus, our canned food drive, the Wetzel Awards, SOAR, Spread the Word Nevada out at Beckley, how we support Bracken Elementary, the highway cleanup, what we do for Opportunity Village, our Wine to Water, and ultimately we are giving away community grants from our foundation to other small nonprofits in the area. So it's our opportunity to keep ourselves from being a well-kept secret and to sell to friends, family, coworkers, and maybe will also be a passive membership recruitment. So the tickets are numbered 1 through 300, and Deb is going to be managing. She has a list, so we'd like you to just check out. We're asking you to just take a couple, maybe 3 tickets each. sell them. The rules are with gaming control that we cannot sell them online, so they must be sold one-to-one, and they cannot be sold to anyone outside of Clark County. So those are the specific rules. It is on there that it is a 501c3, so if anyone asks you about whether or not it is tax deductible, it may be. Just tell them that they must speak to their tax advisors about their specific situation. That's the financial advisor in me. Okay, so remember, this is an opportunity for us to talk to the people outside of this room about what we do with the Las Vegas Rotary Club Foundation. So that's all I have to say. Deb? Oh, yes, we have cash or checks made out to Las Vegas Rotary Club Foundation only, please. We don't want to do any credit cards because of the fees involved. So if we sell all 300 tickets, and I know we will because you're all energetic and you can do it, we will net, the net proceeds to the foundation will be $20,000. Because remember, we haven't raised that much at any of the car shows. So, questions?
Buying a chance for a raffle, you're not making a contribution. I know this law. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hear what I said?
I did.
Yeah. Just want to remind you, it's not tax deductible at all.
Okay, I'm not a tax advisor, so I don't know, but I'm not going to debate. I don't want to debate that. That'll be individual. But anyway, it does go to the foundation. It was approved by the state gaming control, and we had to prove to them that we were a 501c3. And we had to prove to them that we could cover the cost of the cash award. So, any other questions? Can we what? Cash or checks to the Las Vegas Rotary Club Foundation only. So take your tickets, bring them back every week, 3 stubs. They are perforated. We have the tickets, so you can tear off the stub that goes to the person that purchases them, bring it back, the part that has the name, address, phone number, and email address. The events that we have coming up. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, President-elect Jackie. And she brings up 2 really good points. This is an excellent opportunity for you to go out and sell our club to the Las Vegas community. Please practice your elevator speeches and be ready to say why you need to be interested in this club. Today we have a board meeting immediately following today. We have a board of directors meeting immediately following today's club meeting that will be held here at Lowry's. I have an announcement. There is a blue jacket up by the recycling bin and the badges. Someone left it behind last week. Hopefully it is someone here in the club and not one of our guests. Please, if you're missing a blue jacket, take a peek. And at this time, we'll break for fellowship. Okay, as Deb and Karen go around, I mentioned that there were two good points that Jackie brought up. The first is your chance to practice your elevator speech. The second is to get outside money into the club and into our foundation. Driving the donations from our club members into our foundation, but we can do more, and we should do more, and we should engage the community to support our foundation because of what our foundation gives back to the community. So let's get some more outside money in, and so we can do more good. So Deb, what can I interrupt you for Shakespeare? Bill, can you bring Deb the microphone?
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I'm wearing a few different hats today, handing out the tickets. So we're going to come around to your table and give you your tickets if you want them. Well, not if you want them, but how many you want. Also, so to talk about Shakespeare, September 7th and 8th, Cedar City, Utah. We're going to do a dinner on Friday night. I have a private room reserved at Chef Alfredo. Everybody will order off the menu and pay their own food. Saturday afternoon, in between the matinee and the evening show, I'm hosting a cocktail party at a little home that I rented near the theaters. That is at 4 o'clock, and $10 per person, and we'll have hors d'oeuvres, heavy hors d'oeuvres, enough for a dinner, and wine and soda and whatever. But the shows are really fabulous. They have a great lineup of shows this year. You can go to bard.org. It's BARD.org to buy your tickets. Put in the code Rotary 2018 for a $4 discount on each ticket. Also, on August 16th, we will have someone, Fred Adams from the Shakespeare Festival will be here at the club to speak about the shows and the festival itself. So if you can make it here on the 16th, that would be great. But I hope to see you all September 7th and 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, can you take the microphone over to Lucy to talk about the Alpine Picnic?
Hi, everyone. So the Alpine Picnic is this Saturday at Bob Warner's cabin. We're going to have a hike led by the one and only Russ Swain. And that begins at 9 a.m. And then the picnic begins at 12 p.m. And then it's going to go through 3 p.m. And there is a sign-up sheet going around in the green binder. And there's also, we need some volunteers to kind of stay afterwards and help us pick up Bob Warner's house and do the dishes and make sure that it's in the same, it's nice and clean just the way it was before the picnic started. So it's this Saturday. Hope to see you all there. I do want to remind everybody there is no gas station on the mountain, so please be sure to please be sure that your gas tank is full prior to going up. Yeah, at least on the way up. The way down, it's downhill, so it should be fine. But on the way up, please make sure that you have enough gas to get up there because there is no gas station on the mountain. Thank you.
Bill, can you take the microphone to Jamie Goldsmith?
Okay, so Stu and I and Janice are working on an upcoming Wine to Water event at Guikeku. We're going to open it up to the public, so invite your friends. We're still waiting to hear back from the sommelier to see if he is available on August 24th. We're doing a sake flight and Japanese barbecue, so we'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you very much. Can you take the microphone to Karen Wisenhunt, please?
Where's she at? Right here. Good afternoon, Rotarians. The Kingman Rotary Club is hosting an open world team from the Ukraine on September 7th to the 14th, and they've asked our assistance for hosting the team and 3 Rotarians only on one night, September 7th, which is a Friday night. They have all their activities planned for the day, so you're welcome to just tag along with the group and then host them that evening and provide them with breakfast the following morning. But that's it, just one day. But we're looking for host families for 10 of the Ukrainians and their guests. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you take the microphone to Jim Tucker, please?
Where's Jim? Stand up, Jim.
Okay, Baldy. Hey, we have 3 ads in the wheel that are available. Business card ads, they're $400 a year. So that's about $8.33 a week for 48 issues. So if you want to help support your Rotary Foundation, you're in business, please support us by putting your company in here. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 save the dates for you. UNLV tailgate will be October 19th. We'll hear more from past President Russ as that date gets closer. And tentatively, Santa Claus is going to be on January 6th, and we'll hear more from Jim Hunt as we get that buttoned up as well. I'm sorry, December, yes. January will be a little bit late. December the 6th, my apologies. Thanks for the correction. This would be the time for fines, but nobody has sent me anything that's fine-worthy, so I ask you all, please keep an eye on your fellow Rotarians and let me know when they need to be fined. Plus 1/2 of, or plus today's take. The raffle ticket is 206-4076. 4076. $206-4076. $206-4076. So this is what happens when you do good things during the meeting. She drew the 8 of hearts for those who couldn't read it, and she's received her $10. Okay, for the Lowry Bucks, 206-4188. 206-4188. Holy cow. It's our perpetual raffle winner. I think for Halloween this year I'm going to get an Arlene mask and then play the raffle. At this time, then, I would like to have Randy Campanelli come up and introduce Sergeant Schrag.
So I just want to tell you that's the first time publicly, some of you know about my family, but that it's been stated that I'm the only non-felon in my family. But it does speak a little bit to our speaker, which is why who's not a felon, by the way. I also want you to know that I've never had a speeding ticket in my life, and my 4 grown adult sons call me McGruff, if that tells you what their childhood was like. So, after October 1st, I signed up to be a Metro volunteer. And I just want to tell you, you have Sergeant Schrag's bio, but I just want to tell you my experience as a Metro volunteer in the training, as I was accepted and then I was trained, like my compatriots over there, by Sharon Harding, who's sitting over there. And it's, if you compare the video that came out early this week of catching those 2 murderers, and the shooting through the windshield because they were trying to kill the cop. What you need to know is that everything Sergeant Schrag and Sharon Harding do is the exact opposite. And it's all designed to keep that from happening. And so I can tell you categorically, and I want you to know that in all of my training as a Metro volunteer, it was all focused around peace, reconciliation, and love. Please welcome Sergeant Braden Schrag.
There we are. All right. It's going to be a little challenge for me. First of all, good afternoon. It's going to be a little challenge for me to stand still. I legitimately have ADD. I've had about 4 cups of coffee so far this morning. And so if anybody needs Dramamine, this would be the time to pop a little. First of all, I want to thank Randy for the invitation and everybody who has worked with me to bring me here, and obviously the Rotary Club at large, both this Las Vegas chapter as well as the other chapters throughout the Valley. As I was preparing, kind of getting myself ready this afternoon, and as I walked in, I was sort of reminded of the 4 ways here. And as I read what is Rotary on the bottom right-hand corner of the wheel, I looked and I said, what I do as a police officer and what I do in my role at the Office of Community Engagement is really no different than what you're doing every day. And I think it's really pretty special and pretty neat when we look at things throughout our valley, things throughout our community, and we oftentimes find ways to divide ourselves and segregate ourselves and find ways that don't bring us closer together. And one of the things that we do in the Office of Community Engagement is to break down barriers, much like the Rotary Club does, to help people, to provide health, wellness, and resiliency to communities. And that's one of the big things that I have done throughout my career. As you see, I've had a very fun career. I've worked in a variety of capacities, doing various things, which includes social work, pediatric mental health, and obviously in law enforcement. And that has allowed me to kind of shape and look at how I see the world a little differently. And it's been a lot of fun for me to be able to do that. What I want to do today is take you guys through a little bit about some of the philosophies and foundations behind your police department, and in particular, the Office of Community Engagement. Oftentimes, what we see are those really flashy videos of maybe 30 seconds after an event, or the officer-involved shooting that we had, some of the heroics that took place on 1 October, and we see a number of recently officers doing lip sync challenges, which kind of shows our human side. The reality is, ladies and gentlemen, when I take this uniform off, or take my uniform off, take the gun, take the badge, I'm a father. I have 2 children. A 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. I'm a husband. My wife is a teacher here in Las Vegas. And this is my home. This is my adopted home. Like many of you, you may not have been born here. Some of you may have. This is where my children are born. This is my adopted family. And this is where I call home. And so I take this community and the ability to make impact and change very, very serious. And so I think it's very important for you as the change makers of this community enforcement. When we peel the layers of the onion back, it's more than just defensive tactics. We were talking just before I came up at some of the changing demographics that make up law enforcement, and that has really transitioned and moved beyond that capacity that we typically think of. And I like to dote on this department, and I like to dote on this community. I had the opportunity to speak around the country and internationally to audiences on a wide range of topics. And I always find it amazing when people go, how did you do that? How were you able to get your community together and participate in the diversity? And I always remind them, I said, there's this really cool, neat, special, hidden secret I want to share with you. And they go, okay, yeah, what is it? And I like to provide a little theatrics. So I bring them along on a little journey for a few minutes, mostly because I like to laugh in here. And I'm a one point of validation, so any of our statisticians in here, if there's just one person that agrees with me, even if it's the other alter ego inside my head, I'm having a great day. So I would always look, and after a few minutes of theatrics, say, it comes down to this. Hey, my name's Braden. I want to work with you. Let's partner. And sometimes it's that simple, and we oftentimes over-dramatize the simple opportunity to just shake a hand, sit down, break bread, or enjoy a cup of coffee. And I always would tell people there's two places more things get done than any others. Boardrooms are not it. It's over coffee and cocktails. Coffee and cocktails will get more done and solve more problems of the world than anything else. Because it's that opportunity that we get to know each other. We get to spend time with each other, get to know things are all important, but at the end of the day, it's about human connection and human interaction. And those are some of the things that we work to do out of the Office of Community Engagement, is to bridge those connections and fill those gaps that are there in communities that create a mosaic, if you will. That we're not letting people become set in an isolated, myopic enclave of the community, but that we bring them out of the darkness. And we always tell people, everybody deserves a voice inside the police department. And the next few minutes are where my passion comes in. Every single person deserves a voice inside this police department, and everybody deserves equal justice. And the only way we do that is that we break down some of those barriers, and we as law enforcement take that step of leadership of reaching out to others. Because what oftentimes happens is people look at the police department and they see Mighty Mighty Metro, or they see a blue uniform, a tan uniform, whatever mixed-match uniform that organization happens to have. And everybody assumes that if we don't ask for help, that we've got it licked, that we've got it all taken care of, that we have all the answers. And I'm here to tell you that we don't. We don't have all the answers. And so it's important that we constantly remind ourselves. So one of the things that we do in our programming and the way we go about building community capacity is we look at the notion of social identity. And what we focus in on is moving away from the us and them mentality and working towards that we. That mosaic that I mentioned, that we identify in groups and out groups, and we find as many opportunities as we can to create an in-group for everybody. As I mentioned, everybody deserves a voice inside the police department. So we look and search around our community. How are people identifying themselves? Is it as a father? Is it as a police officer? Is it as a Las Vegan? Is it as a U.S. citizen? And so as we work with our immigrant and refugee communities, we work to engage with them to bring them out of those shadows and not have the same fears that they may have in their home countries, where law enforcement and security forces are no more than a repressive aspect of a repressive regime. And so that same philosophy comes inside of our own communities, where we have those who look and see an occupying force of law enforcement, and we try to change that demographic and change that viewpoint of how we move forward. So it's all about building that community of trust. Without trust, there's very little we can do. And so how we do that is we take the notion of community policing practices or community-oriented policing practices. And the two things that I want to point out here are the use of partnerships and to proactively address. The rest of that is a big fancy definition that Police Executive Research Forum came up with. But really it comes down to proactively using partnerships and collaboration to address what's out there in the community. And we look at what a definition of a community partnership is. Again, we see that word collaborative there at the beginning. It's about us working together. It's not about us and them, it's about we. And I think as I listen to speaking with Randy and Tina and everybody else here today, that notion of we is a constant with you as well. It's about how are we going to solve problems? How are we going to come together? There's a traditional diagram that we look at when we look at community partnerships, and I think this adaptation that I've put together has a better representation and really applies across the board, whether it's the business world, government, community organizations. And that is, when you're looking at a leadership position and you're looking to engage with the community, the first thing we have to look at is community contact. Do they even know who we are? Do they know what we do? We have to get out there and spend the time. And so we encourage our officers to go out and spend the time. There has to be communication. We've got to talk to them, tell them about who we are. We have to tell them the things that we do. There has to be transparency. And so, thus, the opaque circles. The traditional model has an ABC model, which is community contact with an arrow to communication that lends to trust. And when we're developing trust in communities, especially vulnerable populations, at-risk communities, it's much deeper, it's much richer. And it takes a lot more than just, hey, let me talk to you. There has to be honesty, that transparency. They have to know what's going on in your organization. They have to be a part of that organization. And the other thing about it is, in order to hold that trust up, we have to realize that there's an ebb and flow of communication and community contact. Early on in my career, I was tasked with developing an overt counterterrorism program, a community-based counterterrorism program for the department. And it all had to do with building trust in communities that the police department, frankly, did not have relationships with. Some of our more orthodox communities, our Muslim community, the Sikh community, those who, again, looking at social identity, were not identifying themselves with the police department. And one of my community contacts, I spent a lot of time working in particular with the Muslim community and building that relationship of trust. And I spent a lot of time with community contact and communication and a lot of transparency and working together. And something happened. I didn't have a transition plan. Like all good government services, hey, you're doing a great job. We need to put you over here to do something else now. And we didn't have a succession plan. And as a result, the trust that I had built started to fall. Because as I sat behind a desk as a keyboard commando and a cell phone wizard, my community contact started to push to the side. And that communication ended up more in a digital context or in a very limited physical context. Is that when you've taken the time to build the foundation and you bring those things back together and you kind of come back to the root philosophies, trust can return, and we were able to do that with the given community. So as I look at this and I say, why is this important? Why is building communities of trust? Why is understanding social identity? Why is building and creating this avenue and arena of resilience so important? Number one, we can't do it alone. We, the police department, I'm here to tell you, cannot do it alone. We need the help of every single one of you in this community doing what it is that you do in the capacity that you have to help this community. There are things that I can do as government. There are things that each of you can do as Rotary or as private citizens or through your businesses or other organizations that you represent, support, or community and civic groups that you're a part of that can impact positively our communities that in a way government can't or shouldn't. And so the thing that we always look at is, what do I need the community to do? I need you to help me identify the problems. I'm not an omnipotent, all-seeing being. Mighty Mighty Metro is a lot of places, and if you've traversed the Strip, you see those beautiful cameras everywhere. But we can only be so many places at so many times. And this is where I ask of you, please help us identify some of those problems in the community. Bring them to our attention, and when we know about them, then we can begin to address them. And the second thing is, I want you to be a part of the solution. I need you, not just want you, but I need you to be a part of that solution. And I'll touch on that a little later as to why that is so important. The Office of Community Engagement follows 4 basic principles: outreach, education, awareness, and engagement. And obviously that last word, Office of Community Engagement, sort of sets the stage for the final piece. But that outreach is what we try to do every single day. It's the ability to get out and talk to people, introduce them to who we are. Education, the formal transference, one way or another. As I mentioned, we don't know everything and we can't do everything, so we seek the advice and counsel from those experts in the community. And so we ask that they come in and educate our officers, educate us. And awareness, much like we're doing today. I'm providing you with a good snapshot overview and a little delve dive into what it is your police department does, but providing that just basic level of awareness. And then the final piece, which is most important to me, is engagement. And that's that bidirectional activity of either identifying projects, programs, or initiatives that we have and inviting you to be a part of them, or seeking the projects, programs, initiatives that you have and encouraging my way to be a part of them with you, or that collaborative effort that we're identifying and creating something that didn't exist before, that we're in routine contact with each other. The Office of Community Engagement is made up of several different pieces, parts, and aspects. We have the section portion in OCE that I'm a part of, which is the core team, which is community outreach, education, and redirection. And we work on a lot of gang prevention, human trafficking, youth impact innovation type programs and projects. And we also have the other half of our team, the Fusion Liaison Officer Program, that works on countering violent extremism. So how do we take all facets, whether it's domestic or international, and build those relationships to sports programming, education, civic activities for our youth to engage with law enforcement and to be able to go out into the community, kind of reshape their vision of how they see the world, how they see law enforcement. And by changing their scope of vision, they have different thought process, and by therefore having different action. We're also able to impact the parents and families of some of these youth in a way that we may not have before. And it's absolutely amazing. And before I get to the PAL slide, I just have to pause for a moment and say one of the most amazing things happened in the last year with our Police Athletic League program, and that is one of the young ladies who's been a part of the tennis program that we do recently got a college scholarship for academics and sports, full ride to a university in the Midwest. And those are the kind of impacts that are happening, that this is somebody who may have otherwise gone down a path and ended up in an environment of continued cycles of violence, despair, poverty, and other parts and pieces that would have not been a good piece to the health and resiliency of the community. We have our Explorer program, where we bring kids from around the valley in, teach them how to be police officers. It becomes a great recruiting tool for us. We have a lot of work that we do with the Hispanic outreach community, or with our Hispanic outreach, and as I mentioned, human trafficking, education, and outreach. One of the unique programs that your police department does on behalf of the community is proactive programming inside of the Clark County Detention Center. When you look at the criminality and the history of those who get involved in the criminal justice system, not always, but oftentimes it's a repetitive pattern. As one of the young men that I would say young, but one of the men that I was mentoring inside of CCDC a couple of years ago mentioned to me, he said, "Hey Sarge, I got to tell you, this is the first time in my life that I realized what it meant to be a man. I grew up in a family where everybody went to prison. Everybody was a felon. And I believed in my heart of hearts," he said, "this is my third time, and this is going to be my last time. Because now I see that it's not, going to prison doesn't make you a man, it just makes you a better criminal." He says, "I want to be a man and I want to be there for my daughters." About 2 months later, I got a 6-page handwritten letter from him, and he said, "Hey Sarge, I don't know if this will do anything or help you in your career, but you've done so much for me. I have a relationship with my daughters. I now have a relationship with my mom I haven't had in 10 years. But I want to let you know what you've done for me and other inmates like me." And it's one of those moments you look and say, all I did was go in and talk. I didn't talk above or below, I talked right at. And having that means that when that individual then returns to our community, they're not going to be a predator. They're going to be taking care of their families. They're going to help with the health and resiliency of this community in a way that they wouldn't have prior. So we do that. We provide parenting and leadership skills. This is on a weekly basis. We go in and we have done yoga and meditation in the past. And a lot of people, as you can see that picture on the right, that's about 140 inmates in total silence, the Clark County Detention Center, all doing yoga. Our yoga instructor that was authorized to go in the jail has since moved from our community, unfortunately, and we're working to get a new one in. So if there's anybody that does yoga, once, twice, fantastic. 2. All right, I got 2. I got 3. Give me 3, 3. Can I hear 3? No? 2, 2. All right, we're going to stick with 2. But those are some of the, and we've also provided health and nutrition, talking to people about what you put in your body and how that fuels you and the decisions that it helps or detracts you from making. And then we also do PSD reintegration for those who have been impacted by significant degrees of PTSD, whether that's referring them to services as they come out or providing them with opportunities while they're inside the jail or getting them over to the Veterans Affairs. And I opposition, hey, we want to do health and wellness and yoga and parenting and leadership to felony inmates. They went, what? There were a few other words, but I'm sure I'll let you fill them in. But they all thought we were crazy. The interesting thing about it, in the first 90 days of that program, there were 0 infractions in that module when we did our pilot. 0 infractions. That's compared to the 8 to 10 a day that were going on in a traditional module. So, as I mentioned, as you take and you reframe people's lives and you reframe how they think and you treat them as adults and not as animals, your output becomes different. And so what I ask and challenge of you is, and I don't think it's any stranger or you wouldn't be a Rotarian, is to encourage others to think beyond themselves and look to the individual as an individual. What they did is not who they are. What they did is what they did. Who they are and what they can become are two vastly different things. And so taking that message, and that's what we shared with them, is just because you did these things doesn't make you who you are. It's a part of you, but who you will become is dependent upon you. So as I mentioned, our police athletic league, we work with kids between the ages of 6 to 17 from vulnerable populations. We have a few grants that we do. We work with Richard Steele. We do a boxing program. We work over at the Boys and Girls Club doing a tennis program. We work out of the Stupak Center where we do a multi-sport program. But what that does is that brings officers in direct contact with some of our vulnerable youth, and we utilize sport, positive action training, and other activities to help get our kids to have a better positive interaction with law enforcement, provide them with new experiences and opportunities, and also kind of change the hearts and minds of some of our officers as they look to see people in a different capacity, which means their own compassion as they go back into the communities they serve is increased and has a better opportunity. I talked about our Explorer program. One of the programs I want to touch base with you on, and I know it was of particular interest to Randy because he had the opportunity to go through this training, is our RECAP program. And this is Reclaiming Every City Around Peace, or Rebuilding Every City Around Peace. It's a collaborative effort between the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, our faith-based community, civic organizations, and others. And the premise behind RECAP is that if we look at violent events, and I don't have a whiteboard, but there are windows, so I don't see any whiteboard markers. My office, if you come in, is all the whiteboards are filled, and the lone window I have is filled with whiteboard sessions. And so my folks always get upset or freaked out when I go, all right, I got something to say. And I start drawing. But what we do with RECAP is we bring those folks together, and when we have a violent event, so we say we have a homicide, and in particular a gang-related homicide, you have an incredible amount of trauma that's occurring in the community at that moment. And then police come out and we start our investigation, and that trauma and crisis for the community continues because everybody's on edge as soon as the black and whites show up. And then our investigators come out, and the medical personnel, and then we have the coroner's office, and then the body is taken away. And so we've started our community here, and we've brought them all the way up here. Well, traditionally what's happened is we've left the community. We just pull out and we say, all right, cool, y'all got this, right? All right, we're out. We pack up and we take off. And one of two things happens with our community. Number one, they drop straight down. And oftentimes, if we leave them at that precipice and they fall, they're going to fall well below the original baseline. That, or they slide right back down to where they started, which now the environment for retaliation is ripe. And that's oftentimes, especially in the gang community, what we see is that retaliatory violence You hit Tukey, so I'm going to hit Ray Ray, and I'm going to hit Jose, and I'm going to hit Braden, and we're just going to keep going back and forth because I've got to represent out in the community. Nobody's going to disrespect me. And so what we do is we bring in our faith-based partners, former gang members, those formerly incarcerated, and we bring them out to the community after training, and what we work to do is move people safely beyond that moment and move them forward. And of the first 16 recap events that we've had for this calendar year, or the first 16 of this calendar year, recap event. And I'll explain a little bit about what those events are. So we have phase 1 and phase 2 activations. A phase 1 activation takes place in the first 24 hours of an event. And that's where we know that retaliation, the potential for retaliation is high. And we have trained violence responders violence reduction responders that actually will go to the hospital. They'll go out and meet with family members. They'll meet with other people in the community. If it's necessary, they may pray with them if they're invited to. But they will help bridge that gap between the police department and the community and give them a message of peace and non-retaliatory. Our faith-based partners, if they've built the relationship with the family, may actually host or hold and officiate the funeral. And in one particular case, one of our pastors was able to bridge the gap with, he's a former gang member out of L.A., actually had done some prison time, had been shot, coincidentally enough, by the police as a youth because of some of his criminality, became a pastor and has been a dedicated servant to the community, was able to interact with this particular family in a way because of their own Hispanic heritage, Hispanic gang life, and he was able to not only understand but speak the same language, and was able to work with the family that the new shot caller, the most senior person, was able to say, we're not going to move forward with retaliation. And so during the services, a bunch of the homies from L.A. came up, and he says, I've got it on his authority that you're not going to retaliate. And he stood up and gave a nod, and he says, the pastor's right. All those gangsters at the end of the service got up, packed up, and went home. And in that particular case, somebody's life was saved. That's somebody's family that's not in terror. That's a community that no longer has to be fearful that there's going to be additional bullets that are whizzing through windows. Or as in the case not too long ago where the unintended target happened to be a 3-week-old baby. Those are the things that we routinely deal with and work with programs like RECAP that help to bridge those gaps and bring people together in a way that maybe we necessarily can't. So again, looking at, I need you to help me identify the problems and most importantly, be a part of the solution. Well, we've all identified the problem is we may not, I'm a corn-fed, Midwest, college-educated white kid. There's just some people I ain't going to reach. So I need to find my partners that can help me get there. Hotspot communities in the neighborhoods, and we set up shop. We bring out our mobile outreach vehicle. We may bring some pastors, maybe a jumpy house, set up a barbecue, or other faith-based individuals or civic leaders, depending on that particular community, and we'll actually work on a proactive rally to bring community members out to start to engage with each other. An offshoot of that program has been what we have called Pastors and Pancakes, or Adopt a Neighborhood. One of our, I wish I could take credit for it because it's pretty awesome, but one of our retired captains, Rich Fletcher, was able to work with one of the apartment complexes that had traditionally a high amount and level of gang violence and violent crime, married them up with a faith-based organization that was not too far away and said, faith-based, meet apartment complex management. Y'all get to know each other and get along. Well, they started doing proactive rallies similar to this. They would do food drives. They would get the community out. Neighbors got to know each other. Kids started playing at the park again. And there was a period for a year where there was no violence. Nothing happened. Until about a year later, and the only thing that happened was there was an open driveway and two people were in a gun battle and just happened to come in there. And that was the violence that the community was impacted by was something that had nothing to do with them. So the power of people working together is incredible. We do a lot of work with our Hispanic community in conducting outreach. As you can imagine, with some of the political environments as it relates to immigration law, some of the changes to immigration status, this becomes a very hot-button topic, especially to those who are most immediately impacted by it. And so we spend a lot of time over at the Mexican consulate providing training, helping them with filing police reports, and sort of breaking down some of the myths that exist within communities. Oftentimes, people who become vulnerable or who are isolated become vulnerable because they don't have the truth about what's going on. And so we work to break some of those barriers down. And through some of the work, we provide a safe space at the consulates to be able to educate people and give them the true facts and build bridges, which helps us build a stronger community. One of the outgrowths of our Hispanic outreach is our Hispanic Citizens Academy, where we take about 45 to 50 individuals from the Hispanic community. Maybe some of you have been through the traditional Citizens Academy, Metro Citizens Academy. We do the same thing for the Hispanic community, all taught in Spanish. Follows very much the same pattern and background, but it gives us a chance to reach the community, create new volunteers for Sharon, provide our advocates back out into the community, because now they know what the police department actually does. And we actually had our 10th anniversary of this program earlier this year, and it was our 19th overall academy. So it was pretty amazing. So in that time, we've been able to impact a good number of people throughout our community. One of the newest activities that we're doing as a police department is called LEAD, which is Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. And LEAD is an alternative to incarceration. What we're identifying is people in the pre-arrest stage who are impacted by opioids and other drugs, and looking and saying, putting you into jail is not the most appropriate thing. You going to jail may not be the most appropriate thing. So we take and have folks brought back. We work with service providers to provide them opportunities to get into treatment before they go into incarceration. What ends up happening is, for those impacted by opioids, if we take away their drugs and put them in jail, they start to detox, and oftentimes they're afraid to say anything. So what ends up happening is, when they do get out, they're below their kind of what they call being sick, so they're below their baseline, and they'll go out, commit more acts of criminality, and then oftentimes may end up overdosing, and in some cases dying, just because they're having to kind of refeed that habit. So it's a different way for us to address the problem, and looking at it from a public health standpoint rather than from a criminal justice. And just real quick, and I know you guys have tight timelines. One of the newest things we're currently working on is an outdoor and leadership program. We're working with the Friends of Red Rock Canyon Foundation, the Bureau of Land Management, Red Rock Conservancy, and what we're looking is those same kids that we work with our PAL program is through this developmental program is getting these kids out, providing them with leadership and expansion opportunities out at Red Rock Canyon. It's the first time anything like that's been done in our valley. But these are some of the things that your police department, along with some of these deliverables, we were creating this program. He said, Braden, I want you to push against the edges of this community. I want you to push against the edges of this department. Because when you move, as you've done over your career, and make people uncomfortable, that's where we have the opportunity for growth. We don't grow if we keep doing the same thing we've always done, because we'll be at the same place we've always been. So as just a quick snapshot, these are some of the things we do. And here's that piece that I mentioned, and I'll end on. Give me 4 or 5 hours and grab some cocktails. I mean, you guys have cocktails. I can't, Sharon. I'm armed, so I won't. Or just in your own life, the greatest chance for success and for sustainment for our community comes with 3 pieces. That's the involvement of government, our community, and the private sector all at the same time. So when we look at the notion of some of these programs, like our drag program or the legit, which is ladies and gentlemen in training. It's working with the private sector, with the government, and some sort of nonprofit. And those three aspects, when we combine them, provide the assets and resources necessary to truly impact and sustain programming that we have throughout the community. I'd like to thank you all for your time today, and I look forward to any questions. Yeah, I can do that, yeah.
Sergeant Strang, thank you so much for coming in today. I'd like to present you an award, that the Share What You Can award, and we are going to donate a meal to a needy veteran in your name.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sergeant Schrag will be here after the meeting for anyone who has questions. Thank you. If you're attending the Alpine Picnic, I'd like you to help support our People of Action campaign. Take action photographs and take some video and send them to Kirk Holmes so that we can put them up on our website and our People of Action campaign. So as we leave here today, let's go forth into the world in peace. Let's be of good courage. Hold fast to that which is good. Render to no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the afflicted. Honor all persons. And love and serve each other, rejoicing in the fellowship of Rotary. Be people of action. Be the inspiration. Board members.